This is Bob Sluka saying hello from the whole Sluka family here in Florida. These are very odd times, and lots of opportunities, lots of challenges. Physicists tell us that space and time are linked into space-time, but if we think about them for the moment separately, time seems to be something we have a lot of. Space has been shrunk, and so many of us are spending a lot more time around the house, particularly out in our gardens. And so the organization I'm missionary with, Arasha, one of the things that we do is really helping people to love their place. So I wanted to give you some ideas, and there could be loads, I'll just give you one or two, on how you might spend some time caring for the place that you're in, your own house and yard, and particularly doing that in a way that is a blessing for God's creatures and which glorifies Him through making space for other animals and plants and learning about them in a way that really connects us to God. One of the first jobs that was given to humanity was to name animals. So Adam was a taxonomist, and he was able to learn and know about the different creatures and plants, animals that were there nearby him and name them. So one of the ideas that I would suggest to you is use this time to learn about the animals and plants that live in your yard. And it's an important part of our Christian faith to know the place that we're in, to learn to love it, and to see it through God's eyes. In Genesis 1, we see God declaring as creation good, and He did that before we were around. And so theologians tell us that is theocentric, God-centered value, sometimes also intrinsic value, meaning that creatures have value that's not dependent upon us. They have value because God declares them good. And so in the end of Genesis 1, God also declares that we, as humans, are the one species made in His image. And He then, right in the very same set of verses after that, gives us the command to care for the rest of His creation. And so we do that in God's image. So if God has declared things good, if He has taken delight, as we see so much in the Psalms and the rest of His creation, how are we to care for His world? We do that in God's image. So in the same way that we picture God caring for us, that's how He wants us to care for His world. So I'd like you to think about how you could make your yard a better place for animals and for plants. Green lawn might look nice. That's our definition of beauty sometimes right now. But those kind of monocultures, those single species of grass, aren't really very good for much in terms of biodiversity, in terms of animal life and other plants. And so think about how you might make your garden, have some places maybe that you don't cut the grass so short, have some places where other creatures might also be able to live alongside you. Simple things that we've tried to do to create more habitat for creatures in our yard. You can see it doesn't have to be beautiful. There's our old Christmas tree in a pile with some other brush and different plants that I've cut down. That creates a nice little kind of habitat. The grass back here along the fence, or weeds, is a little bit longer. And here's our trampoline, slightly in need of repair. But you can see underneath that also I've left the grass a little bit longer there. Means I don't have to cut it, but also that's an area where different kinds of creatures can live. Finally, I would just challenge you during this time. It's a surprising amount written in the Bible about animals and God's care for His creation. And so what I would just suggest, there's lots of resources online, and during this time Arash has put together a resource page, and the links are down below. Do some exploring. Challenge you just to think about God's heart for everything He made, and that this is something that you can participate in. This is something that will strengthen your relationship with God, will help you to love God and love your neighbor better.